In this video, you will learn about 10 critical mistakes people make with onions, often without realizing that these mistakes can put their lives at serious risk. Onions can act as a remedy, but they can also become a dangerous enemy if used incorrectly. Watch until the end to avoid severe consequences and protect your health. This video is going to be incredibly informative and helpful. If you want to take control of your health like a pro, give it a like, and let's get started. Mistake 1. Eating onions with pesticide residues. At first glance, onions seem like a safe food, familiar, comforting, and always welcome on the table. But few people realize that behind this ordinary appearance may be hiding a serious threat. Most onions sold in stores are grown on an industrial scale, where aggressive chemicals such as pesticides, herbicides, and fungicides are used. These substances are meant to protect the crops from pests and diseases, but they often remain on the surface of the vegetables and sometimes even penetrate into their structure. When a person eats such onions without proper treatment, especially when consumed raw, they ingest a dose of toxins along with the food. Even in small amounts, these toxins accumulate in the body over time. They tend to build up in the liver, intestines, and stomach tissues, leading to chronic inflammation, cellular mutations, and the development of cancerous tumors. Children, older adults, and people with weakened immune systems are especially vulnerable. For them, even minimal pesticide residues can have devastating effects. To protect yourself and your family, experts strongly recommend buying organic onions that are grown without synthetic chemicals. If that is not an option, it is important to wash onions thoroughly under running water. Even better, peel away the outer layers of the skin where the highest concentrations of toxins are found. This simple habit of washing and cleaning vegetables before eating can become an invisible shield that protects you from serious health issues in the future. Mistake 2. Overindulging in fried onions. Fried onions have become a staple in our culinary traditions. Their appetizing aroma, golden crust, and rich flavor make them a favorite addition to many dishes. But behind this culinary appeal lies a serious danger that many people are not even aware of. When onions are fried at high temperatures, complex chemical reactions take place. One of the byproducts is acrylamide, a highly dangerous carcinogen that damages cells, breaks down their structure, and increases the risk of developing cancerous tumors. The esophagus, pancreas, and lungs are especially vulnerable. Scientists have long confirmed the link between the frequent consumption of heavily fried foods and an increased risk of strokes and heart attacks. Acrylamide not only contributes to tumor development, but it also harms the walls of blood vessels, triggering inflammation, narrowing of the arteries, and poor blood circulation. Many stories of people who developed serious health problems began with a seemingly innocent fondness for crispy foods. Over time, the buildup of carcinogens leads to major changes in the body, changes that are not always reversible, even with medical intervention. This is why doctors recommend replacing frying with safer cooking methods, such as stewing, baking, or steaming. At lower temperatures, onions retain nearly all of their beneficial properties, vitamins, antioxidants, and fiber, while avoiding the transformation into a source of toxins. A simple change in cooking habits can make all the difference in preserving your health and your life. Mistake 3. Dangerous combinations of onions with heavy foods. Onions on their own are powerful stimulants for digestion. Their active compounds boost the production of stomach acid, improve appetite, and speed up metabolism. But when onions are eaten together with heavy dishes, such as fatty meats, fried foods, legumes, or dairy products, they can become a real trigger for digestive problems. This combination creates a double burden on the stomach and intestines. On one hand, heavy foods take a long time to digest, tend to stagnate, and cause fermentation. On the other hand, onions stimulate extra secretion of digestive enzymes and acid. The result is intense gas production, a feeling of heaviness, painful bloating, heartburn, and even cramps. For people with sensitive digestive systems or those prone to irritable bowel syndrome, such combinations can cause serious flare-ups, including diarrhea, constipation, pain, and inflammation. A common mistake is adding a lot of raw onion to fatty salads made with mayonnaise, or eating it together with fried legume-based dishes. In these cases, even someone in good health may feel discomfort, while those with chronic gastrointestinal issues risk experiencing serious aggravation. To avoid these unpleasant consequences, doctors recommend eating onions with lighter vegetable-based dishes, whether stewed, fresh, or baked. In these combinations, onions reveal all of their beneficial properties, supporting digestion and strengthening the immune system without harming your health. Mistake 4. Overeating onions with chronic stomach conditions. Many people consider onions a universal health booster, but for those with chronic stomach diseases, onions can become a real enemy. In cases of gastritis, peptic ulcers, or gastroesophageal reflux disease, GERD, the lining of the stomach and esophagus is already inflamed and weakened. It struggles to cope even with normal stress, let alone with additional aggressive irritants. Raw onions contain a high amount of essential oils and sulfur-containing compounds that sharply increase the secretion of stomach acid and stimulate the release of hydrochloric acid. When such onions come into contact with an already inflamed lining, it is like adding fuel to the fire. Irritation worsens, leading to burning sensations, pain, heaviness, and heartburn. People with ulcers may even experience internal bleeding, a dangerous condition that requires immediate medical attention. Reflux should not be overlooked either. For patients with this diagnosis, onions can trigger the backward flow of acid into the esophagus, intensifying heartburn and causing nighttime episodes of choking and pain. To avoid these dangerous outcomes, people with chronic stomach conditions are advised to eat only thermally processed onions, whether stewed, boiled, or baked. With these cooking methods, the active compounds become gentler, and their irritating effect on the stomach lining is significantly reduced. Mistake 5. Eating large amounts of onions with circulatory problems. Onions are often called a natural remedy for improving vascular function. And it is true, their active compounds such as quercetin and sulfur-containing substances help reduce blood viscosity, which prevents the formation of clots. However, what is beneficial in small amounts can become extremely dangerous in large quantities. If a person is already taking anticoagulants, blood-thinning medications such as warfarin, aspirin, or clopidogrel, consuming a large amount of onions can significantly amplify the effects of these drugs. The blood can become too thin, and even a minor injury to a blood vessel may lead to internal bleeding. The danger lies in the fact that such bleeding often occurs silently, in the stomach, intestines, or brain. The early symptoms may be subtle, such as weakness, dizziness, or mild nausea. But in severe cases, it can result in serious consequences, ranging from hemorrhagic stroke to sudden loss of consciousness due to internal blood loss. The risk is especially high for older adults whose blood vessels become thinner and more fragile with age. That is why people with circulatory disorders or those taking blood-thinning medications must consult with their healthcare provider about the safe amount of onion in their diet. In some cases, it may be best to completely avoid raw onions or limit them to the smallest safe portions. Mistake 6. Excessive onion consumption in liver diseases. Onions are known for their detoxifying properties. They activate liver function and help the body eliminate toxins. However, for someone with an already damaged liver, such as in cases of cirrhosis, fatty liver disease, or viral hepatitis, onions can become an added burden instead of a benefit. The sulfur-containing compounds found in onions require the liver to work actively to process and neutralize them. If the liver is already weakened by disease, its capacity is limited. Excess intake of such substances overloads the detoxification systems, intensifies inflammation, disrupts cellular metabolism in the liver, and can lead to a decline in liver function. In practice, this may show up as increased fatigue, worsening yellowing of the skin, dark-colored urine, pain or heaviness in the upper right side of the abdomen. In more serious cases, flare-ups of chronic liver conditions may occur, sometimes requiring hospitalization. To avoid making things worse, people with liver diseases should consume onions only in limited amounts, no more than 30 to 50 grams per day, and always after heat treatment. Raw onions should be completely avoided as they place the greatest strain on the liver. Mistake 7. Eating onions with chronic kidney failure. Onions are often seen as a harmless food, but for people with kidney disease, they can pose a serious hidden danger. The issue lies in the fact that onions are rich in potassium, a vital mineral that is normally necessary for supporting muscle and heart function. However, in chronic kidney failure, the kidneys lose their ability to efficiently remove excess potassium from the body. As a result, potassium begins to accumulate in the bloodstream, leading to a condition known in medicine as hyperkalemia. This is an extremely dangerous disorder. When potassium levels are too high, it disrupts the heart's electrical conductivity. A person may experience arrhythmias, weakness, numbness in the limbs, and in severe cases, sudden cardiac arrest. What makes hyperkalemia especially insidious is that it often produces no strong symptoms in the early stages. A person may simply feel a little unwell and ignore it, while their potassium level continues to rise rapidly to a critical point. Onions, especially when eaten raw, can significantly increase potassium intake. For individuals with chronic kidney failure, even a standard serving of salad with onions or an onion-based side dish can become dangerous. Doctors advise people with kidney problems to strictly monitor their diet. Onions are only allowed in very limited quantities and only after consulting with a physician or dietitian. In some cases, it is better to eliminate them from the diet altogether and replace them with foods that are lower in potassium. Mistake 8. Eating large amounts of onions with heart problems. Onions are rightfully known for their ability to improve circulation and stimulate metabolism. However, this very property can turn into a serious threat for people with heart conditions. When someone with heart failure, a history of heart attack, or arrhythmia consumes a large amount of onions, they unintentionally place their heart under additional stress. The active compounds in onions dilate blood vessels, increase blood flow, and raise the workload on the heart muscle, forcing it to beat faster and harder. For a weakened heart, this can be an overwhelming challenge. The elevated heart rate increases the heart's need for oxygen, but a diseased heart is no longer able to meet these demands. As a result, there may be more frequent episodes of angina, worsening shortness of breath, and chest pain. In severe cases, this can lead to a heart attack or the progression of serious heart failure. Raw onions are especially dangerous as they contain the highest concentration of active substances. What makes this situation so deceptive is that the deterioration in condition can occur suddenly, even after eating what seemed like a harmless meal. That is why doctors strongly advise people with heart disease to be extremely cautious with onions. If necessary, intake should be limited to a minimum and only gently cooked forms should be used, such as stewed, boiled, or baked onions. Mistake 9. Eating large amounts of onions during acute inflammatory processes in the body. Onions are known for their invigorating properties. They boost metabolism, stimulate circulation, and enhance the immune system. That is why they are often called a natural healer. However, in the case of an acute inflammatory process in the body, this very feature becomes dangerous. When inflammation is already developing in the body, whether it is a severe infection, a flare-up of arthritis, bronchitis, or pancreatitis, excessive onion consumption only makes the situation worse. The active compounds found in onions increase blood flow to the inflamed tissues, stimulate the production of inflammatory mediators, and accelerate metabolism in areas that are already damaged. In practice, this leads to the inflammation site growing larger, increased pain, swelling, and a further rise in body temperature. Instead of promoting recovery, the body faces additional stress, the inflammation becomes more aggressive, tissue damage accelerates, and the person's overall condition worsens. This is especially dangerous in cases of pancreatitis and arthritis flare-ups. In pancreatitis, onions stimulate the pancreas at a time when the organ urgently needs rest and minimal strain. In arthritis or bronchitis, onions can intensify inflammation in the joints or airways, making the illness more severe and prolonged. That is why doctors strongly recommend avoiding large amounts of onions, especially raw onions during acute inflammatory episodes. When the body is fighting inflammation, it needs support, not stimulation. Mistake 10. Improper storage of chopped onions. Very few people realize that a simple chopped onion left on the kitchen counter can become extremely dangerous. Once the onion is cut, its structure is broken and it turns into an ideal environment for bacterial growth. Pathogens such as Salmonella and E. coli develop especially actively on the cut surface. If chopped onion is left at room temperature for a long time, especially in warm weather, the number of harmful bacteria on its surface grows rapidly. Within just a few hours, this food can become a breeding ground for infection. What makes the situation even more deceptive is that contaminated onions may still look completely normal, no change in color, smell, or texture. A person unaware of the risk may add them to salads, appetizers, or main dishes. Then, within a few hours, symptoms of severe food poisoning may appear: sharp abdominal pain, vomiting, diarrhea, and high fever. Children, older adults, and people with weakened immune systems suffer the most from such infections. In their case, what begins as a common foodborne illness can quickly escalate into serious intoxication that requires hospitalization. To avoid this hidden danger, it is important to follow a simple but essential rule. Once an onion is chopped, it must be stored only in a tightly sealed container in the refrigerator at a temperature no higher than 4 degrees Celsius, 39.2 degrees Fahrenheit. It should be used within 24 hours. If more time has passed, the chopped onion should be thrown away without hesitation. Next, I recommend checking out these videos, and don't forget to leave your likes and comments. I'm looking forward to them.